Well, the last time I was here, I started having trouble with my wheel bearings. And that's what put my bike down, the Goldwing Onyx, down for almost 3 weeks, trying to figure out what was going on, what the noise was on the front of the bike. I heard plastic sound, I heard rubbing sound, clicking sound, and didn't know quite what it was. And it took about a week and a half, 2 weeks to diagnose. I actually had a mechanic come over to the house, a certified mechanic, a mobile mechanic, and he suspected it was the brakes. And lo and behold, I had just purchased a brand new pair of Honda OEM brake pads. So we slapped those on. He took it for a test ride, and it was still making that rubbing and popping sound. And so then he said, well, I don't know what it is, and could be your steering stem bearings. And I said, no, I don't think it's that, you know. And so then I told him, I said, I've been doing some research on YouTube and on the forums, and I found one or two guys that described similar symptoms, and they really had not come up with a conclusion, or they had not posted the conclusion, which was kind of like, damn, you know. I really was wishing they had posted something that would have helped me out with my, you know, ruling out what it could have been, and coming to the conclusion that it was the wheel bearings a lot sooner. And so I ended up suggesting to him that we replace the wheel bearings. And so that's what we planned on doing. So he came back out about a week later, once I got the all balls wheel bearings in the mail, and he proceeded to pull the bearings. I only allowed him to do it because I had never done that job before, and I didn't see too many how-tos online, and I wasn't comfortable pulling the bearings without knowing what the heck I was doing. So he started the job for me. He pulled the bearings, started to replace 2 of the bearings, because the Goldwing actually has 4 bearings on the front. Excuse me. And so in doing so, in pulling the bearings, we discovered that the spacer, or what they call the front bearing collar, was missing. Okay, it was missing. It was not installed from the previous owner's mechanic, whether that was the dealership or what have you, because I know that owner did always use dealerships for all his maintenance jobs. So they left out that spacer, and that's what caused those all ball steel ball bearings, wheel bearings that were in there to fail. You know, so I wasn't pulling out stock bearings. I was pulling out all balls wheel bearings that had failed. And mind you that the bike was only at 53,000 miles when I had to do that. So that's not typical, especially when something's already been replaced once. And those bearings were replaced at about 52,500 miles, let's say. So when I bought the bike, when I purchased the bike, which was this February 2017, I put about 1,000 miles on the bike, not knowing that the wheel bearings were failing or already bad. But when I started to get that popping sound, it was because I was driving it pretty aggressively back here, and you guys can see that in my my video. It's the return trip from Eagle Pass and Carrizo Springs. I did a return trip video where I was coming down, you know, through these twisties on FM 471, and I started to get that popping sound, you know, while I was vlogging. So I'm making this video just to try to help somebody else out that may have a similar issue and not know what it is, because it can be a pain in the ass trying to diagnose it if you don't know anything about wheel bearings, like I didn't know. Now I'm pretty much an expert, okay, because I had to do all the research myself, and I had to actually finish installing the wheel bearings myself, because I did not want to pay a mobile mechanic to come out 3 times. The first time they came out, it was $80 just for the diagnosis, and he did slap those brakes on for me, but I could have done that myself. And then the second time coming out to pull the wheel bearings out for me, and we discovered that the spacer was missing, and I only had to pay them $55. They were charging me $110 to do the wheel bearing job, but since they only got halfway because of the spacer, they could not finish the job, and they wanted me to call them back once I did get the spacer in the mail. But I just said, you know what, I'm gonna finish this myself. You know, I like to do a lot of my own work when I can. And he pretty much had shown me everything what I needed to do anyway, so I was pretty confident, you know, that I could finish the job, and I did so. I slapped that together, and you know, got my Goldwing back on the road here. Meanwhile, I also put on a super brace, fork brace. I installed that while I was waiting for the wheel bearings to come in. Excuse me. And I also installed the saddlebag and trunk molding, LED moldings for the trunk and the saddlebags. So now I have running lights on the back as well. So all in all, I spent about maybe close to $1,000 just getting this bike where I needed it to be, you know, which I don't consider it bad. And the last thing I think I'm going to need is to replace the steering head bearings to reduce that low speed wobble, and then of course to get me a custom seat made to give me some more space. I need to be about 2 inches further back for the handlebar position. It's just a little tight for me in here. I've got like a pretty long wingspan, 6'2", and also you know, I'm not really feeling this stock seat foam. It's about 10-11 years old, and it just needs to be replaced or maybe restuffed or something, because it's just not soft enough. After about an hour, I start to get some burning and some pain. I did think about I thought about installing the seat beads. That was another option that I was thinking about, just to cool down. I think we're going to stop and wait for Vaughn to catch up. But those seat beads, just to cool me down, because it is coming into the summer. It's pretty humid, and you know, my buns is on fire. Okay, so I'm definitely thinking about installing that and getting another seat. Other than that, if you guys have any suggestions, I'd like to replace these tank pads. They just look old, and I'm afraid to remove them because it looks like they may be stuck to the paint, and so it's going to pull stuff off. So I'm kind of afraid to move those. We're back on the road now. But yeah, that's my full explanation of why Onyx was down for so long. And you haven't seen me vlogging on the Goldwing. But we're back now, and I hope you guys are ready for some more moto vlogs. We're going to bring you guys some of this action out here. Some of this Southwest Texas action. And we're going to hit up some twisties right now. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys right now. I'll check in with you guys later. Southern Cal, and I'm out.